Hey, Katie.
Hey, Rhiannon, how's it going?
It's going good. I love your braids. Every
Well,
time you wear
thank
braids like
you.
this, I'm like, oh, so cute. So
Thanks.
90s. It's
I
so
yeah, I
90s.
thought I would wear the brown flannel in, commemoration of my grunge years.
Oh yeah. We on your recommendation, we started watching the 90s show. We've only watched one episode and the daughter, whatever their name, the foreman's daughter. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've
Leia,
had
her
every
name is
outfit she's
Leia, first
had.
of all.
Late. That's right. That's right. I'm like, okay. It made sense. I'm like, oh, Eric Foreman, come on. And yeah, I was like, oh, every outfit she's had though. I'm like, I had this outfit. I had this outfit. I had this outfit.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I think my seventh grade school picture's in that outfit. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
the all of the posters and in her friend's room and everything. And I definitely don't want to spoil it for people, but it was just like so perfect doing this podcast now and then seeing that 90s show. And they do a really good job of like they kind of straddle late 80s and 90s and you know for all their references and everything. But oh my god, it's perfect. I love it. I
Yeah.
haven't like looked at any reviews or anything, but I just think they did such a wonderful job continuing on the story from the 70s to the 90s.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I wonder if I could wear this now. Like, could I wear not a flannel, a thermal and overalls and tights and boots? Like, is this still something that a person who is now the parent of people this age, can I wear this?
Absolutely, you can because it's
Okay.
coming back in style. I think we've gone through the number of decades where we're allowed to wear it again. But
It looped around.
but the white t-shirt under the flowery spaghetti strap jumper dress is like, yeah,
Yeah.
that was
No,
like the daily uniform.
I loved it so much. Okay. Corrections and updates from last time. We only had one update where you had shown like new vinyl from Third Eye Blind. And I'm like,
Mm,
oh, Third Eye Blind. They have a singer. Okay. This man's name is Stephen Jenkins, and
that's right.
he has a whole career. And I'm like, he features on other people's music. So you're gonna be like, oh, Rhiannon, you've been listening to Hannah's music. And so he was the feature, like, he's the sidekick on this song by Cassidy Pope called Mind Your Own Business. And so Cassidy Pope is definitely that's on the pop 100. So
Yeah,
but
that
pretty
is
good.
that is a name I do
I
not
feel
know.
like, yeah, Cassidy Pope, she is, yeah, a pop star. Like, I mean, her music's good. Hannah likes it, but I can't, like, nothing is coming out at me, and I figured that you wouldn't know it. It's definitely like, I think for the 12 and unders, maybe
Yeah,
older, I don't know. So the 12 and unders is who I know who knows it.
exactly. Well,
Okay.
I was like really looking forward to today because I think last week's episode kind of inspired me to go a different direction. I definitely went like the musical movie theme route this week with everything. And
Hmm.
my songs this week I'm going to do in like order of the age I was when I heard them and stuff like that. So, um I cannot wait to get started. I'm sure you know most of them, but
Okay.
I say that often, but we'll see what happens
Yeah.
with this
All right.
movie music crossover, and we're both movie music nerds. I might hit more of a Rhiannon button on most of these. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
It increases the likelihood for
it
sure.
absolutely does. So here is my first song I am sharing, and here we go.
Now, a woman who kissed on the very first date is usually a hussy. And a woman who kissed on the second time out is anything but fussy. But a woman who waits till the third time around, head in the clouds, feet on the ground, she's the girl he's glad he's found. She's his shapoopy, 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 shapoopy. Shapoopy, shapoopy, shapoopy. Walk her once just to raise the curtain. Walk around twice and you make for certain. Once more in a flower garden, she will never get soft, you beg her pardon. Squeeze her once when she isn't looking. You get a squeeze back, that's fancy cooking. Once more for a pepper rubber, she will never get sore and a way to stop her.
Okay. It's just more of that shenanigans for another 2 minutes.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. So before I get into all about Shapoopy and the movie The Music Man, have you heard this song before?
oh, so many times. I wasn't so I had this whole thing about field shows, blah blah blah. I didn't do field season my freshman year, but this was the field show of my freshman year.
I
So
gotcha.
like even though I wasn't in the band from September to January, this was the music. And so I was around the band and we still had to play the music the rest of the year. So I've heard this so many times. And then also because like once you buy the score, you just keep playing it because it costs so much money. We
Hmm.
played these songs at other ones. But this 1960s super theatrical made for movies musical, that is my genre. That is like, I know all of these. I know all of
Yeah.
these. Yeah.
Well, I picked this song. Well, really, I picked this movie. So there were many other songs that I was like debating with myself to choose from. But Shapoopy was kind of the funniest, the most upbeat, and also like in pop culture references, people may have seen it. There's like a whole Family Guy scene in a Family Guy episode where he sings Shapoopy on the football field with the football team. But I was like 7 years old when I first heard this song and like watched the movie. And I know I think I talked about it in an earlier conversation with you, earlier episode, where like the high school that I lived near was doing The Music Man as a play. And they like asked for little kids around the area to be the town folk. So like my first play I was in, I was just like the background towns children in a high school play of The Music Man. And so, I watched the movie, I listened to it all, and that's like, I was 7 years old and watching all these like super older high school people. They were so cool. And they were like doing the whole thing. So we got to sing Wells Fargo Wagon, and we just got to be there anytime the town's children were there, and 76 trombones and all of that stuff. So it was really funny picking this song because I was like having epiphanies of like, I'm pretty sure I based all of my likes off of this movie because I loved Marion the Librarian, and I was like I am a huge book nerd. And like when I was a kid, I was like, ooh, I want to be a librarian. This is amazing. You're just around all these books all day and you just
Yeah.
read. And I'm just like, I wonder if I got, and of course I played trumpet and I was a big band nerd. And so I'm pretty sure that I got my identity from The Music Man. I just realized that when I was doing the research. But I absolutely love that. And then the song Till There Was You. And but Music Man was like a movie in 1962, but it was set in 1915. And this scam artist guy comes to town, and he's trying to scam the town out of money by saying he's going to build up a boys band, and trying to get donations from that. And his plan obviously is to skip town with the cash before the band gets built, the imaginary band. But his plans go awry when he falls in love with Marion the Librarian. And what was really funny to me is, as a kid, first of all, shapoopy is a hilarious word. It's got the word poopy in it. That's 7-year-old humor and also 42-year-old humor. However, as I'm like going back, listening to it, or even just several times visiting it as an adult, just the themes in it are so adult, and there's just
Mhm.
so many it's an all boys band, just a lot of like female male things. I mean, this song Shapoopy is literally about a girl that's hard to get. Marion the Librarian, there's a song about her who's essentially like a giant prude who won't do it with any dude. It's just like, oh my God, I had no idea how much men women sexual relationship songs were in this. And
Yeah.
oh man. But it's so much fun. The songs are so much fun. I almost did You Got Trouble in River City because it's got all the rhymey words, and You Got Trouble starts with a capital T that rhymes with P and stands for pool. Just all the ways he tries to convince these religious, pious people that the boys are going to go astray if you don't put them in a marching band with some order.
Yeah.
Uh, well, anyway, so that was my first song at age 7.
Oh yeah. And the Music Man, it's because it's from the 60s, so like the colorization of the film is so like of that era. So like even in that clip, you can kind of see the way they did the colorization. Like you can tell the technology of making color movies was not where it is now. And so even some of that, like if you look at movies from the 60s, I think that this is one of the where like filmography, like the craft of making film, visual media, started to really understand color as its own character, because you
Yeah.
can see like the white and the pink, and like how they like whenever the Music Man is on screen, he has like a very clean and crisp and kind of like a White Castle aesthetic.
Mhm.
And like the town does look kind of like sad and dreary when he's not on the in the scene.
Yeah.
So and so many related musicals to the Music Man. Now that we've uncorked this genie, be prepared. I'm gonna go crazy because this era is yeah, like so many male-female relationships, sexual dynamics that you just, when you think about musical theater from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, you don't think about prostitutes. You don't think about people being called a whore. You don't like think about these things. And then they made this into a movie, which means they had to basically get a G rating. They didn't have higher ratings yet. And it's like, oh my God, like sexual dynamics and who's a proper lady and who's not a proper lady.
Yep.
Oh, this is like, oh, A+. I love it.
I'm so glad. So then what was really funny to me is my second choice of a song that I'm going to be playing here shortly. Again, falls in the theme of like, oh, yeah, I guess I am a book nerd. Not sure if I was a book nerd and liked this, or this uh influenced me to be a book nerd. But
Mhm.
let me get this guy queued up, and I'm pretty sure you'll know this one too.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, it's off screen. Hit the share. There we go.
Turn around, look at what you see in her face, the mirror of your dream. Make believe I'm everywhere, hidden in the light. Written on the pages is the answer to a never-ending story.
Okay. It's a little bit more of that as well. So yes, Never Ending Story, one of my favorite movies as a kid, and still today, still rewatch it often. Um, I have so many funny memories. First of all, I did not know that the lead singer was a dude till I was probably like late 20s. And I was so surprised. I thought it
Yeah.
was like backup female singers along with the lead female singer. But then researching for this song, for this pod, was so much fun because I had no idea any of this stuff. So that guy is Limmel. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's the lead
Mhm.
singer of Kajagoogoo.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And for those of you that don't know who Kajagoogoo is, you know the song, "You're too shy, shy,
Shy, shy,
hush, hush,
hush,
I
hush,
do I."
I.
Like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Oh, so good. So anyway, little bit about the Neverending Story movie. It came out in 84. I would have been 3. So I'm sure I saw it around like 88, 89, when I was a little bit older. Um, and yeah, just everything about this movie is like my life. I mean, the kid, Bastion, is a super book nerd. I mean, I don't think I got bullied to the point where I had to like hide in a trash can, but he goes in a bookstore, he steals a book. I'm sure if I stole anything when I was a kid, it would be a book, and he just goes and reads it. He skips class to read a book. That sounds like a Katie move. And,
Mhm.
within the book, Atreyu's this great warrior that goes across the land, and there's the nothing that is going to destroy Fantasia. So, it's this whole destroying imagination and, keeping that alive. And then there's all this meta stuff about facing your worst fears, and it's like facing yourself. So, there's this whole like growing up and working through your issues as a kid kind of theme. And yeah, I absolutely love it. Falcor the Luck Dragon, like everything's super cool and weird looking. Um, and then a lot of people may know this song from that, but then in 2019, on the season 3 finale of Stranger Things, like Dusty and Susie sing this song as a duet over the little CB radio or whatever, Dusty Buns and Susie Poo. And so I'm very grateful for Stranger Things for keeping our culture alive. Okay,
Yeah,
I
I
did not
mean,
ask you though. Seen the movie, know the song?
oh yeah, I've seen the movie. I know the song. I saw the movie in the 80s as a kid, and probably the last time I watched the movie is maybe the last time I babysat a kid that was 7 years old.
Hmm.
Because I definitely have not watched it in at least 20 years. And we have this whole like backlog of movies from the 80s and early 90s that we want Hannah to watch, but she gets like the things that we thought were normal compared to the things they think are scary is really so different now. And I don't know, my kid is also very sensitive. She's like, nope, this is too scary. I'm not interested. But I was heavily invested in her liking Beetlejuice. Like I was heavily
Mm.
invested in her liking Beetlejuice. So I didn't want to waste there's a scary monster dragon flying creature. I didn't want to waste it on the never ending story because I really wanted her to watch and like Beetlejuice. And then she watched it and she's like, it's very scary, mommy. I don't think we can watch it again. I'm like, well, now that you've seen the movie, can we at least watch the cartoon? Because that's what I really wanted her to watch was like the little animated series. But yeah, like my husband wants her to watch Big Trouble in Little China because she's 10 and that's the right age to watch Big Trouble in Little China. But as we're watching it, I'm like, wow, they showed things to 10-year-olds that maybe like they shouldn't see. So now I'm like, oh, I wonder if I watch Neverending Story, if I could get Hannah to watch it, because
Yeah.
it was at a time where movies were the right length too. Because I think the movie, even though it's called The Neverending Story, I think the movie is less than 2 hours long. I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes or something, which is
Yeah.
good because like in the 2000s, movies went into the 3 hours. That's way too long for a movie, especially if you're trying to watch it with a 10-year-old. So I might give it a try because we recently um, made her sit in the same room while Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark was on the TV, and she's like, "This is terrifying. I can't watch this."
Oh my God, that was such a great moment when you see his face melt off when you're a child. It's just
Yeah,
incredible.
she's
But
like,
like,
"No, traumatizing. I'm gonna have nightmares for days."
yeah. But I mean, just through my adulthood, though, what really touched me about Neverending Story is I still have things that I pull from that. Like, when you're going through depressive times or whatever, there's the whole swamp of sadness and
Yeah,
Atreyu and his horse Artex. And like, I've never had my heart ripped out like that before as a kid until spoiler alert, everyone, until you see Artex just stop in the swamp of sadness and Atreyu's trying to coach him like, don't let the swamp of sadness take you under, buddy. And
yeah,
like I say that to myself, like, just fight against the sadness, Artex. Like if you're just like having a bad day and you can't get out of it, I imagine the swamp of sadness scene. and try to not be Artex. I would rather be Atreyu.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the freaking giant tortoise, Morla, the ancient one, like how scary is that tortoise? Like this crazy tortoise talking as a we because they've been alone for so long, and then the nothing's like a giant wolf. It is a really good mix of scary and cute, and
Yeah.
I learned a lot of life lessons from that movie.
So when you think about movies from the 80s, obviously Neverending Story is like right up there, number one. But how
Yeah.
do you feel like, are you one of those people that is for Labyrinth, is against that Labyrinth, or like I've
Oh,
found in
Labyrinth?
my life, yeah, that people who like Neverending Story are like the use of puppets, like they want the puppet to be of a certain scale versus another scale. But then you also
Yeah.
love Star Wars, so like maybe you also like human-sized puppets. What's your
Yeah,
feeling?
my affinity for puppets has no preferences, I guess. I mean, except Dark Crystal really freaked me out. We
Yeah.
talked about that earlier. I'm absolutely for Labyrinth. In fact, there were just some limited edition t-shirts that went on sale today for Labyrinth. Scoop me up one. But the soundtrack, David Bowie in those awesome outfits, meow, like,
Yeah.
okay, sexual awakening. How's it going there, David Bowie? Yeah, absolutely love Labyrinth. Um, Theater high school kid that's like pissed that she has to have responsibilities and grow up. All the cute puppets. Yeah, my sister and I, my older sister and I used to watch it constantly, and we would like prank call people when it was super easy and you couldn't star 69 people back. And we would do the scene where she talks to the worm, and we would just call random phone numbers and she'd go, "Hello." Did you say hello? We would just do it until they got very confused and hung up on us. So yeah, big Labyrinth fan.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that those movies that you're kind of too young to watch, but you watched anyway,
Yeah.
are so like unlocking of those little secret parts inside your brain. Like when you're saying like, oh, was I a book nerd or did I watch The Neverending Story at a key moment of my brain's development? And
Yeah.
it's kind of like a little bit of both, right? So it's like
Yeah.
um the movie that I watched too young was a police procedural. I can't even remember the name of it right now, but it was like I was like 9. I know it was like the first R-rated movie I watched, but it just programmed into me this whole like a formulaic story arc and the procedure of it. And if you just, even though like there's unknowns, but if you follow the procedure, it's going to come out. Like there will be an answer at the end. You might not like the answer, but there will be an answer at the end. So I think that is, you're onto something that's like, okay, you're this little ball of clay, and we're going to put like these little like influences on your brain. And I definitely am like, oh, maybe Running Scared. That's the name of the movie. I saw that
Oh
movie
yeah,
Running
yeah.
Scared, and it's like
I
a
have
buddy
that
cop
soundtrack on
movie.
vinyl, I think.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that movie so
Gregory
much.
Hines, right?
Yeah.
Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal, and
Yeah.
we can correct it next week if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think that's right. But it's like a buddy
Mm,
cop movie, and it's a
mhm.
procedural, and like they have to like break the rules to make justice, and like everything about me, I'm like, oh, sometimes you have to break the rules to get justice, and like all those little things. So, side note, Katie is starting her journey into tabletop games. Specifically, she's starting her D&D journey.
I am.
She's forming her character, her very first character. And on her little character sheet, she said, lawful good. And I'm like, I knew it. I knew this
For the
girl's gonna be
for
lawful good.
for the record though, I didn't really want to start out being lawful good. Like I don't want my character be, and I also don't know if I as a person am I'll say I am lawful good just for purposes of YouTube. But yeah, I actually had
Everyone is
some
everything. Yeah, everyone is
I
actually everything. But
yeah, yeah, I had some
where do you
consternation
try
when
to
I
live
was
your life?
choosing my alignment for sure. But speaking of kind of, well, the thing about movies though, and especially when I was younger, when you have a family that loves movies and you have all different kinds of personalities and ages and parents that are like, I'm gonna watch what I want. I don't care how old my kids are. Like, but my next song that I want to show you is from a movie where I feel like still kind of a kid fun movie, but deals with like more grown-up kids, I guess I would say. So
Okay, let's see what it
yeah,
is.
that's what I'll say. But plus I love the song and also had tons of problems choosing which song I wanted to pick for the pod from this movie.
Okay.
So let me
Well, he walked up to me and he asked me if I wanted to dance. He looked kinda nice and so I said I might take a chance. When he danced, he held me tight, and when he walked me home that night, all the stars were shining bright, and then he kissed me. Each time I saw him, I couldn't wait to see him again. I wanted to let him know that he was more than a friend. I didn't know just what to do, so I whispered, I love you. He said that he loved me too, and then he kissed me. He kissed me in a way that I've never been kissed before.
all right. I'll go ahead and stop that. But that movie for me was so awesome. And anytime I see the Touchstone logo flying in and then just hearing those first couple chords of that song, I just immediately get goosebumps and have such warm and fuzzy nostalgia feels. And so many things I've reminded of in just like the first minute of like when I was a kid watching this movie. First, it's me and my older sister. Let me see, this came out in 87. My sister's like a year and a half older than me. And so, she would have been 8, I would have been 6 or something, or we watched it a few years later. But first start getting into boys, seeing who's cute, who's not. It's also, we're a big like music loving family. So just the whole girls singing into anything that looks like a microphone. She's singing into the bedpost. We're singing into hairbrushes. Like it's just so quintessential of what we used to do. And like we would watch that scene and we would like try to do that dance that she does in her bedroom. And it's just like it brings up like idolize Elizabeth Shue was just gorgeous. And she looked so much older. But first of all, even when I watch it back, like chick looks like she's 30 and she's trying to be 17 in this movie. I Googled,
Yeah.
she was like 24 or 26 or something like that in the movie. So many feels about the movie, but I'll try to like move it to the song. So one, I wasn't sure, like I was just the song was a band, a girl group called the Crystals, and they're from the 1960s. And I don't know which tangent to go off on first, the 60s girl group or the movie itself or whatever. But just that movie, Adventures in Babysitting, there were like 2 other songs that I would have picked. They have a scene where they
The
go into
babysitting blues.
yes, of course, the babysitting blues. Nobody leaves the club without singing the blues. But then when they're driving in the car to get Brenda and everything, the 25 miles song from, of course, I need to Google because I have no memory, Edwin Starr. And those 3 were the ones I was like, which one did I love the most? But really, it was just that opening scene. I'm just a huge fan of girl groups. And, these girls, they also had like, He's a Rebel and the Do Run Run. So just that music in general was so fun to sing as a kid. Anything like the Supremes, the Marvelettes, the Shirelles, the Chiffons, all those ladies I was into. Martha and the Vandellas, I think. Yeah. So Adventures in Babysitting, awesome movie, awesome soundtrack, and just suburban kids that go adventure into the city of Chicago and chaos ensues. And yeah, it's great when you're growing up. You get to see like the baby being in love with the babysitter, right? You got like the brother Brad that's in love with the babysitter, but she's like a little too cool and a little too old for him. And she's setting her sight on older guys and college guys. And so yeah, there were just like a lot of those themes that brought back memories. I'm guessing that you've seen this
And
movie.
oh, I've seen this movie so many times. And then the little sister, she has like her Thor helmet.
Yes,
Yeah.
the whole Thor thing is so adorable. But I wasn't
I love this
comics
movie.
at all and stuff back then either. Like I didn't know really who Thor was and Thor's hammer and all that stuff. So it was cute to me. Vincent D'Onofrio as the toe guy was super freaking scary to me. Like he like I was believing in that scary danger.
Yeah. Yeah, I like there's this whole like there's this movie, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, and
Oh,
License
yes.
to Drive that are just kind of like a trifecta. If like, you know, you're like 16 years old, you think you can handle life and responsibility, not needing adults to step in and take care of you, and then like you have these 3 movies, you're like, are you sure that you're ready for all of this? But like just like this movie is so good. I'm like, okay, this is probably also too scary for Hannah because as we've established, she can't handle anything. But I really like this movie and how they do try to solve their problems on their own, and they have to think and be creative, and they make mistakes and they do things that are ill-advised, but they still like make it home at the end. Spoiler alert, no children are lost in Adventure in Babysitting. Yeah, I really
they
like
are
this
not
movie.
permanently lost.
Right. They are. That is part of the adventure in babysitting, is that you do temporarily lose 1 or 2 of the children.
Exactly. But like a couple things that I Googled about it, but I already knew that they did a remake to the show, Disney Channel, like 2016. I mean, it was cute. And the Sabrina Carpenter played the Elizabeth Shue character, and I liked her from Girl Meets World. And so I bought into it, but it definitely was no original Adventures in Babysitting. Also saw that this was Christopher Columbus's directorial debut. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then there was a bunch of other stuff in there about people they were considering, but I didn't feel like it was worth writing down.
No, I like this. Like, if all of the songs are going to be from movies that I've definitely seen, it's going to be a lot easier for me.
Well, I have one more, and I'm really not sure if you've seen it, but you do see a lot of movies. So, but yeah, I did bring 4, and this will be my last one,
Okay.
just because of the song. I was gonna do the song anyway, and then I was like, oh, this is also on a movie soundtrack. So
Okay.
well,
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I haver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's havering to you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm working, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you.
Oh, that is so hard to turn off. Like I didn't know where to stop it, but I needed the da 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 to come in. Oh my gosh. Okay, before I talk about the song, have you at least seen Benny and June?
I've seen it. I
Mhm.
was hardcore into Johnny Depp. Hardcore.
Who was not, honestly?
So
Let's be
I've
real.
definitely seen it. I don't think this is my favorite because I think this is one of those I maybe have seen it maximum 3 times. Like when I'm looking at this, I'm like, do I remember this story? I did remember like certain parts of it, but this wasn't like I couldn't quote this movie end to end like some other movies, such as Edward Scissorhands. But um no, of course. I love this movie. I mean, I love Johnny Depp. I love this song. I'm sure if I watched this movie, it would be like, oh yeah, pleasant. I would remember it fondly. It's not like, oh, top 100 for me, but
Yeah,
anything that Johnny Depp did between like 1984 and 1994, I'm like, the man could do no wrong.
exactly. Yeah, I had a lot of fun researching this because there was just so much that came back to me. I know the gist of Benny and June. Johnny Depp is silent character. Um, he does a lot of like um physical comedy in the movie. That's part of his charm. So he's like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton kind of guy. Mary Stuart Masterson plays like a mentally ill sister of Aidan Quinn. And
Mhm.
so it's kind of one of those movies, she actually ends up like losing a card game, and so Aiden Quinn's friend says, you got to have Johnny Depp live with you. Like that's how they first met. Okay, first of all, I don't think that would fly in in a movie today. um but they end up falling in love, and then it's like the brother, um he's a caregiver. He also meets a woman, and he really digs her. He goes on a date with her, but he feels this pull of like, I can't do this and have a life of my own because I need to care for my sister. Meanwhile, sister is trying to fight to be an independent woman. She's suffering from schizophrenia, supposedly based on symptoms, even though they never really say it's schizophrenia. And it's just like a cute love story, and also figuring out how to live with mental illness, figuring out how to accept people with mental illness, and like how people live independent lives, and caregivers and how they deal with it. And so but of course, when I was a kid, it was a romance movie, it was Johnny Depp. Like that's all I needed. And then there was
Yeah,
like a cool song.
yeah.
And but why I chose this song, and then I can get back to the movie, was many, many reasons. But when I was in 7th grade, we always had like a science camp we went to for a few days during the week. And on the last night we were there, we would have like a skit night. And so the teacher that was assigned to our group was with us, and we decided we were going to do a dance to this song. And so we had to learn all the lyrics, and I had to help coordinate a dance. And I do love some good choreographed dance, let me tell you what. I talk about my iffiness with musical theater, not sure how I feel, but choreographed dance to a song, okay, I'm on it. And I always remember too, because they're from Scotland, they talk about getting drunk and havering home, and there's like these Scottish phrases, and this teacher having to like explain to 7th graders, like, when you are drunk and you can't walk in a straight line, you haver home, and so like there's all these like funny things about that song. And so that was a good time. And I know I have a developed picture somewhere, physical picture. I had this like really funny uh winter beanie hat on with like the little puff ball on top, and doing the freaking dance. I just have pictures of me in some kind of dance pose to this song. And I love the song, I love the lyrics. And then in 2018, I went to London and then went to Edinburgh. And like when we were in Scotland, we took a bus tour to the Highlands. And in every country that you visit, they want to just be like proud of all their musicians and make sure you've heard of them all and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
So definitely on the bus ride up the Highlands to see the Harry Coos, we had some Proclaimers. So this was Proclaimers. They're twin brothers, Craig and Chris Reed. They have a couple other songs off of this album that are pretty famous, but only like one or two made it big in the US. This song was actually written in 88, but it didn't get big in the United States until Benny and June used it. And then I was also excited to find out that now I need to go listen to this soundtrack, but in 94, they did a cover of the Temptations' Get Ready for the Dumb and Dumber movie. Now, I know I have that soundtrack somewhere. I just don't think I ever pieced together that there was like a Proclaimer song on that soundtrack. So, so yeah,
Interesting.
I really like this song. It's so much fun, musically and lyrically. And like you saw, I had trouble turning it off. Like, oh wait, I want to listen to this part. Oh wait, I just want to listen to this part. And then, but then by the time it's over. So anyway,
Yeah.
those. How about you with this song? Like, did you hear it on the radio? Like,
Oh yeah, I love this song. My version of this song that's in my head the most though is a cover, and I'm trying to remember if it's a Me First and the Gimme Gimme's cover.
oh,
Because I'm like, is it on the same album as Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard? I'll
mm,
look that up. That'll be in updates next week. But like, I love a cover, and I listened to a lot of covers in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's like most of my musical consumption was that. But yeah, this is such a cute song. Like, I would walk, and even like the
it's
syncopation.
so
I would
romantic.
walk. Yeah.
And I also didn't realize either. It's one of those things like Benny and June was kind of one of those movies that kick started back to romantic movies and romantic comedies where I guess apparently prior to that it was like all action and horror for a
Mhm.
while, which makes sense when I think back to it. I just never really like put it in a pattern perspective. Thank you Wikipedia and Google. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a really good insight. So let's hear your songs, ma'am.
Let's hear my songs. Okay. Let's share my screen and let's hear my songs. So I'll try to kind of go quickly through my songs because they're not
Yeah.
as spectacular as yours. Is my screen sharing? Yes. No, my screen share is loading. Now it's sharing. Okay.
You say I only hear what I want to. You say I talk so all the time, so. And I thought what I felt was simple. And I thought that I don't belong. And now that I am leaving, now I know that I did something wrong, 'cause I missed you. Yeah, yeah, I missed you. And you
Okay. Is there anything more 90s than this whole everything?
No, ma'am. No.
Yeah. Last time you played that song, that Hello Hello song, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I got that song like stuck in my head. I listened to that a bunch of times. And then I'm like, okay, what is this reminding me of? And I'm like, okay, in the episode I said it reminded me of the Cranberries, but then I'm like, oh, it also kind of reminds me of like Lisa Loeb and how she like this is like she's regretting a decision that she made, but it's kind of too late now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, like just the talking out what you're feeling, and even though like the back and forth of the feeling, like you're committed to the decision, but then oh, I wish I didn't do it. I'm like, oh, this is such a good song to have in your I need to process my emotions like toolbox.
Right. And it also illustrates you can feel good and bad about a decision at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love this song. I love her glasses. I love her dress. I love her apartment. I love everything about this. And then Dave Grohl, he did like his cover of this, including him doing the video. I'll have to link that and put that in the suggested viewing because it is. Oh man, if you don't love Dave Grohl, you will. But yeah, like everything about the song is on point for me. So I don't know. How do you feel about Lisa Loeb, Katie?
I well, Lisa Loeb, the musician, love her. I
Mhm.
don't want to talk about current Lisa Loeb. But when she came out, cat frame glasses, like I absolutely loved it. I had glasses, I had contacts, like I didn't get LASIK till 2012, so like glasses were my thing. And so to see her and be a singer and have her look like that, that's really what Lisa Loeb to me. I love the lyrics and again, just the complex emotions of breaking up with someone or whatever. Yeah, it was just she was one of those girls for me in the 90s. Like, oh my God, she's amazing.
Yeah.
I think her CD though for me was another one of those penny CD clubs CDs because I don't even know. I'm sure there was another hit on that album, but I don't know. I don't remember listening to Lisa Loeb's entire album. I remember listening to that song over and over.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that once you get into a Lisa Loeb feeling, you quickly hop off of her and onto Alanis Morissette
Yeah.
because there's more like anchor points on Alanis Morissette. But you're like, I'm gonna kick off this emotional like situation that I need to process all these emotions. I'm gonna kick it off with Lisa Loeb, and then what's next? I used to all these this whole doing this podcast just brings back like this whole memories. Like sometimes you need to get yourself from point A to point B, and you know this intellectually, but you need to get your body on the program. And so I would be like, listen, body, I've prepared 2 hours of musical entertainment for us to get from point A to point B. And then you're just like, okay, you just play your playlist. And then you're like, okay, first we're gonna do this and do. And so I'm like, okay, I feel like maybe I was onto something. I was ahead of my time when it came to doing this because like I would make CDs like burn CDs that had like specific these songs go together for this reason type of
Same.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm
Yeah,
like, I
I
need this
think we're
one
like
CD right now.
we were like human Pandora and then Spotify,
Yeah,
Oh, you liked this song? How about these three?
yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I was actually I'll play the next song right now because they're
Okay.
like they actually kind of go together and while we're on this topic, it makes sense to just like play the next song right now.
Okay.
If you could return, don't let it burn, don't let it fade. I'm sure I'm not being rude, but it's just your attitude. It's tearing me apart. It's ruining every day. I swore I would be true, and honey, so did you. So why were you holding her hand? Is that the way we stand? We're lying all the time. Was it just a game to you? But I mean so deep.
Was that just a game to you?
You know
Oh
I'm
yeah.
such a fool for you.
But yeah, you know how sometimes you
Uh,
gotta get started on that Lisa Loeb and then like immediately you're like, do you have to let it linger?
do
It
you
just
have
takes
to?
it just takes you like, okay, but like the emotional progression, like maybe with a bridge of Alanis Morissette, you ought to know in between of the two songs, but like you're like, I am sad and I'm mad at the same time, and I need songs that say that I am both sad and mad at the same time.
Yeah, I love the Cranberries. Like musically, what I love about them and like how I feel about their music is depending on which song it is, you get this like very ethereal ambiance. And I literally feel like I'm like floating in their music. And then she, comes with the lyrics and a little bit more tempo. But then you have a song like Zombie that's just very gritty and so much different. And they're like an enigma to me.
Yeah.
The Cranberries, I'm a weirdo about band names, and sometimes I forget that I like a band, or I don't even remember if I like a band, or I go, I probably won't like that band because I don't like the name.
Mhm.
And I think the Cranberries to me is like that, but I don't know why. I haven't like soul searched, but there's something about the Cranberries where I don't like associate it with like, oh my God, I love it. And I don't think it has anything to do with the music. I think it's just the name of the band.
Yeah. Maybe because like cranberries weren't really a thing. Like we ate them once a year at Thanksgiving, and like you drank cranberry juice if you're at your grandma's house. Like that was our
Yeah.
experience with cranberries.
Yeah, like I don't have any like emotional connection with the word cranberries, so I just like didn't get it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think of them in the same, like if I want to feel a certain feeling, I want to listen to the Cranberries, and like just you can just go into like their artist profile on Spotify or whatever, and you can just like, okay, how do I want to feel? And you can just like kind of click through and find a song that has what you need. But also, I think that they feel like to me a like Bush. They have that
Mm.
their music understands that rock and roll is part of a larger world of music. So like sometimes you listen to music and you can tell that they've never listened to anything except their like very few types of music.
yeah.
But you can feel musical influence from all over different time periods and different instruments
Genres,
and different genres. Like so I really like that. And like plus that big orchestra swell in the beginning. I'm like anything
Yeah.
with that, I'm gonna be like on board. Okay. I want to show you my next one because I'm like, we don't coordinate and we really should start Baby because this is one I maybe should have just led with. Well, a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, we had to drive to my mother-in-law's house because it was her birthday. And when we're in the car, we play just like one person gets to pick the music for 20 minutes. And we wanted to play music that was easy to listen to, but wasn't going to put you to sleep. And so
Yeah.
we ended up playing like Chicago, which like
that's great. Chicago's
oh my
amazing.
gosh. Yeah. So with no further ado, let me just play this. Although it'll say someone else's name here, but you'll know that it's you should just think of Chicago.
Oh.
Tonight it's very clear as we're both lying here. There's so many things I wanna say. I will always love you. I would never leave you alone. Sometimes I just forget, say things I might regret. It breaks my heart to see you cry. I don't wanna lose you. I could never make it alone. I am a man who will fight for your honor. I'll be the hero you're dreaming of. We'll live forever, knowing together that we did it all
We did it all for the glory of love.
Oh, that is
Ah,
so intense.
yeah, like I listen to this kind of dad, I call it dad music because it's like of my dad's generation, but my dad's like, this is not my music. Don't pin this on me. But I really like this kind of like power ballad.
Yeah.
But this one in particular is like this movie. Now that I am an adult and a parent, I'm just thinking about the circumstances of a person's life that you're just letting this random neighbor person take your child. Although I guess he's like 19 or 20, he's technically adult in this movie. But like, what were the 80s that you're just like, yes, sure, take my child to Japan for the whole summer. It's totally fine. You don't need any money from me? Fine, perfect.
Don't cheapen it. Don't cheapen it with your
No.
logic and your adult thinking.
But honestly, I think this kind of thing just did happen in the 80s because people honestly didn't really think, oh, this person might kidnap my child and never bring them back. I think we
Right.
kind of were a more trusting species back then. But of the Karate Kid movies, this one's my favorite one. So how do you feel about the Karate Kids and
this
this
is
one in
also
particular?
this is also my favorite one, and who knows if it's because of this song even or not. But I was sitting there listening to the song again and just going, I have to watch this movie now. Like, and I don't know. I mean, I know I love the movie, but the song is so epic that like now I have to hear the movie or hear the song in the movie because it's just so
Yeah.
beautiful. Like, absolutely, this is such a good one. And Peter Cetera in Chicago for me, like my mom definitely listened to it, so I heard it at home. But then also in my band nerd days, like once I got to high school, we were playing like 25 or 6 to 4 and Saturday in the Park and all the other Chicago stuff. But Peter Cetera was like the soundtrack to Sunny 95's love songs from 7 p.m. to midnight. You know, there's somebody every night dedicating Gloria Love to somebody. And it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is like such an emotional kid song in my brain for all of those
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah, my best friend in high school, she loved this song so much. I mean, I don't think she even cared about the movie at all. I'm like, well, I mean, this movie is good, so you should watch it. But she, she had this tape, and she played this tape constantly. But just she was one of those, she was super into romance novels,
Mm.
and I like to like what other people like. So I'm like, oh, well, if we're best friends, then we read romance novels.
You got it.
And yeah, just like the way that, especially in the 90s, romance novels weren't really what they are now. It was a lot more, even though most of them were written by women, there wasn't like the female empowerment storylines that there is now.
Mhm.
But like you could just reading through that, even back then, you're like, oh, the romance is not in the he's a knight in shining armor from a long time ago, like just in time he saved the day, like whatever. It's like all the rest of the things that he does for her in this movie. Like, I think that when you're like, oh, Adventures in not Benny and June was like one of the first like romantic movies like to kind of turn the tide. This movie coming off of like that teen fights, like like it was like the
Yeah.
romance was like a completely B story in the first
Yeah.
movie. And
Yeah.
I don't remember the girl's name in this second movie, but like how much he was pining for her was such a more dominant part of this second story. That might be why I like this one the most, because it's the
Yeah.
least about karate tournaments. It's the least about karate of the Karate Kids.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, great.
But yeah,
Great pick. That was a great pick.
Yeah, I was like, my husband's like, are you gonna put that? I'm like, I don't know. It's not really in keeping with theme. He's like, you should do it. I'm like, okay, I should do it. All right. The last song though is completely not in keeping with the 90s theme, but I experienced this song in the 90s and it's great. So we're gonna watch it.
Yay.
One more day now on my own.
Do you have string? There we go.
We'll never meet again. One more day with him not caring. I was born to be with you. What a life I might have known. And I swear I will be true. But he never saw me
One more day before the snow and fall away she goes, and the barricades of freedom shall I join my brothers there begin to fall. Do I stay and do I dare? With the time is now, the day is One more day to river, we will dip it in the pot. I will join these little schoolboys, they will wet themselves with love.
Okay, I could watch literally this whole play right now and we would be stuck here for 2 hours. Okay, are you familiar with Tony Award winning musical Les Miserables?
I am, and I'm gonna wait for you and your story before I tell you my story.
Well, typical, this is one of the field shows that we did. This one was from my junior year. But my sophomore year, we did this competition in the San Francisco Bay Area. Honestly, it's like right by where we used to work. It's like 2 blocks away was where this competition was held.
Oh.
And as part of the field trip, because we had to raise money and we had to like get a bus and like all this stuff, part of what we saved our money was to come and see this performed, a professional production, like the traveling
The touring
production.
company, yeah.
The touring company, there we go.
Mhm.
And so it was on the theater where
Oh.
the stage rotated and huge sets, and we were just like, our faces melting, everyone's just crying because we're all band geeks. Like that's what, like 50 of us, all band geeks, just like weeping with all of it. But then like I'm the kind of person that just gets stuck on this music. So then my senior year, I ran cross country because again, there's a theme in my life. My friend really wanted there to be a cross country team, and they needed to have 4 people on the team to have a team, and they only had 3 people on the team. And I'm like, well, I like to support people in accomplishing their dreams, and so I will run cross country. I do not run. This is a terrible idea. Cross country is long distance running. It's nothing but running, hours and hours of running. And this was also before the invention of an iPad or iPod. And so in order to mentally get myself through being in cross country, I just recited music that I had memorized, because it would be like, oh, you need to go run nonstop for the next hour. And I'm like, I will just mentally collapse if that is what I have to do. And so I only had so many things just stored in here. And one of the things that I had stored in there was the entire soundtrack of Les Mis. So I just like, right. And then this song is like such a like striving to the future, like the one day more. And I just like, I ran so many miles, just like not even in my actual ears, just reciting it in my mind. So like I am deeply imprinted with like in this song in particular, this whole story, the complexity of the love story. This song was great. All right. So how do you relate to Les Mis?
Well, it's a very romantic story because when my husband proposed to me in 2001, I think, maybe 2, I have to think now, so many years ago. He proposed to me and then he took me out on a really romantic date and we went to see Les Mis. So my first time seeing Les Mis with this big shiny engagement ring on my finger, and the house lights were low and I was like, peek, peek, peek. But that part was just funny to me. But yeah, we had such a wonderful time in the show. And like, I was watching the One More Day and just the storyline of, I was just getting so choked up. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to cry on this podcast right now, just because just it's so full of emotion, and going to see it, it was so emotional for me and such a special moment in me and my husband's life. So I mean that it doesn't matter now. Like everything Les Mis is just super special.
Yeah.
But I don't have it memorized. But one of our favorite things to just randomly sing sometime is just Master of the House, Master of the House. And we don't even
Yeah.
sing anything else other than that. But it's just so funny to us to hear that song.
Oh, I love that song too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say that song is so funny because that's who was on the screen right before I cut it off, was the innkeeper and his wife. They are like those characters are so hilarious to me, but like it's not the same story without them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. But and also too, One More Day, and just I'm sure other songs in Les Mis, but I can't think of them right now. It's one of those kind of group compilation songs. I'm sure there's a better word to describe it, where I don't like at first it's kind of sensory overload because I want to try to figure out what all everybody's singing about. So it's one that I want to listen to over and over again so I can concentrate on each person's part.
yeah,
But your story about like listening to it and just reciting it beginning to end in your head just reminded me that like the play Rent is that for me. If I need to, if I for some reason don't have music, which is like very rare now, but in the
hmm
90s it was less rare. And I needed to like just get through something. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start at the beginning of this play and we'll see how far I can get.
yeah,
So, oh, good choice. Way to end it. Yeah, that's
yeah,
definitely pulls on the heartstrings. Les Mis always
yeah.
gives me good
It's
memories.
it's so good. I mean, the starting material is so good too. Like it's
Right,
opposite of The Secret Garden, where it was just like basically a kid's story. Not basically, actually a kid's story. Like Les
right.
Mis, it's such a complex story with so many layers, like the social commentary and the emotional motivation of every character, and the unrequited love and the requited love and the sacrifice and the lies. Like every character is an A+ character in this story. And I think the musical makes it so accessible versus the book is a torture to read slightly. Like it is very hard to read the book, but the musical makes it so accessible. And
Yeah.
even the movie adaptations of the musical have been good. I just like this is such a good story. And I started it where I started it because it's Leah Salonga, who is like, I don't often get crazy for Asian representation. No, that's not true. I almost always get crazy for Asian representation. It's just not there that it wasn't there that often in the 80s and 90s. You just didn't see like Asian performers. And she was like A+, top of her game. She was singing in Disney movies. Like she was like the voice of the time. And like you would think that she's supposed to be like a French maid, and like she's not supposed to be this Filipino girl, but like they still cast her and she is like the voice of this role. I love that. I love that for her. I love that for all Asian people everywhere. And but she's just so talented. And I knew her from Miss Saigon first. So going
Mm,
back,
yeah.
the year before I was a freshman, so my 8th grade year, I was not involved with my high school band, but everyone that I was friends with, blah blah blah, they did Miss Saigon. So like once you are in this circle, like everyone just keeps playing the same music over and over again. Yeah, we would hang out in the band room because we didn't want to go home, but we were good kids, so we didn't want to get into trouble. So we just like sat in the band room and listened to music. And we a lot of what was there in the library that we could listen to was just like previous years like inspiration music. And so we would
Mm,
listen to Miss Saigon, and we would listen to all of these musicals because our band director was a major musical theater nerd and was super into that stuff. But yeah, just like going back to our theme of like how you find yourself, how you find the words to talk about yourself and who you are. And this play, partly because I had to recite it to myself hundreds of times to survive signing up in solidarity with my friend. I'm gonna run 30 miles a week. That's totally a thing that I'm gonna do. It is so, I'm like,
Oh my
I
God.
really need to do something about how much I just like to be with other people, and I like to like what they like. And I'm like, is this unhealthy? Is this an unhealthy level of needing human interaction?
Not at all.
No.
You tried something new and you were like,
Yeah.
this is not for me.
And but also I'm like, I can't quit because they're gonna take away her team and I care about her.
Yeah.
I will do this. It was not for me. I will just say right there, it was not for me. But I had a lot of time just inside my own head thinking about like what I was like talking through. And I don't know, I think maybe like 5-6 hours a week just processing Fantine's unrequited love, you kind of like get over it. Like I was going through my own little unrequited love situation at that time in my life. And I honestly think that having to think about this nonstop helped me be like, you know, he's just not that into you. like that, like just coming to that, like just because you like someone doesn't mean they're gonna like you back, and like you just have to move on with your life type of situation.
Yeah.
It was you know, sometimes I'm so glad that we got married young, because then we like got off that merry-go-round so early. I do feel sorry for people who are like still on it, because it was not fun. I did not enjoy it, but you
Yeah.
do have music to help you get through.
That's so true.
Okay, no new vinyl this week, but
No, not this week.
that's okay. can't do it. I will say I went to Target, like inside the store of Target, and they sell vinyl in Target now. So Katie,
Target,
your passion is going mainstream.
Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was like, this is I was walking by and I like saw the big square thing. I'm like, I know what those big squares are. And I had to take my little shopping cart over there, and I'm like, I'll be selling vinyl in Target. What's next?
That magical 12 by 12.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely. Well, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
well, I don't know. I think maybe I might check it out. I am like, I don't have space to acquire a new piece of equipment, and we are doing this as developing ourselves as human, I'm trying not to just be like, well, if Katie loves vinyl, I need to love vinyl too.
Oh, fine. Sure. Choose me as the friend to learn your lesson on, where you won't do something that I like. That's
No,
fine.
it's also like you live in Ohio, so it's not like I can come just borrow your
can't
vinyl
bring your-
anytime I.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
bring your records over and have a playing party.
No.
All
well,
right. Okay.
no.
I guess I can forgive you for that, but you can grow as a person. That's fine. I'll accept it.
I
I'm
am
gonna
still
go- I'm
listening
gonna
to
go-
new music.
No, it's fine. I'm gonna go listen to Lisa Loeb and process my feelings about this.
Okay, well then I'm gonna stop recording. So
Okay.
I'll see you later.
It was good to
Bye.
talk to you. See ya.